Namaste. So you want to do a handstand. Here are a couple tips that you can work with. First thing is you want to warm up your shoulders a little bit. So taking a few breaths, inhale, stretching your arms up. Exhale, opposite arm on top. This will also warm up your abdominals. So those are required as well. So inhale, lift. Exhale, right elbow on top. Inhale, lift. Exhale, left elbow on top. Do several rounds of this, and when you extend the arms, really feel that stretch with your inner shoulder as you expand your wings, because you'll need that to then take the arms overhead. Creating a little heat here. 2 more rounds. We started with our right on top, so we'll end with our left on top. And then inhale, interlace your fingers behind you. Press through your feet. Make your legs really strong with your feet outer hip distance, a little width here. And then inhale, roll your shoulders up, back, and down, taking a bind with the hands. Now, in handstand, you think about your body as one vertical column. So start to think of your body this way now. Press through the 4 corners of your feet, make your legs really strong, squeeze above your kneecaps so your legs are totally taut. Then press your hips back a little, feel your low back rise. Then tone your belly, because you want your low back and your belly lifting at the same rate, which will give you that verticality later. So think about that, hips back and wide, belly in and up, and then reach through the crown of your head. Push out your feet. Eventually, and if you can now, make your palms flush. That's deeper to get that inner shoulder spot. If you can't quite yet, don't worry about it. You'll get there. And then exhale, release. Second side, lift your spine. You're going to interlace now the exotic way. So we always go one way. So you want to switch it out. It'll feel pretty awkward and a little exotic. I like to say for most of us this way. But do the same if you can catch the palms flush, great. If not, don't worry about it. Press through your feet. Make your legs really straight. Squeeze above your kneecaps. Then hips flow back and wide. Belly tones. Reach through the crown of your head. Reach through your feet. And pull your knuckles away from you. Last breath. Well done. Now find like a door jamb, or I'm using this window still right here. You place your hand a little higher than your shoulder, but not much higher. Take a moment. Bend that right elbow. Take your left hand on your hip. Pause. Squeeze your feet together, thinking again of that position you're going towards. Flow your hips back and wide. Feel the low back lift. Then tone your belly, tone your throat. Push through the crown of the head, and now lean to the left. You'll feel a stretch through your inner right shoulder. You're going to twist your belly and torso to the left, eventually making your right elbow pretty straight, your right arm straight, but not hyperextending, which means the elbow, if your elbow joint pushes and pops forward, that means it just goes a little past the average range of motion that we want, and then you can keep micro bend in that elbow. That's a product of just making sure that you strengthen your biceps up a little bit more, so you can think of the action through the right arm when you're like showing off your bicep to someone, and do that action. Last breath. Good, go the other way now. So now you'll do the left side. So find a door jamb. I'll come over here and find this windowsill. Again, the hand is a little higher than the shoulder. Take your right hand on your hip. Make your feet together. Squeeze your legs, squeeze your hips. As you squeeze your outer hips in and activate your inner thigh muscle squeezing to center, you'll feel the hips flow back and wide. Then tone your belly and start to walk your feet to the right. You can turn the whole left side of the rib cage and face to the right as well. And again, if that elbow pops up to the sky, then show up that bicep action on your left arm. If you're pretty bulked up in the arms, then you can just push more, actually. The opposite, push. Almost like you're doing a plank there with the left hand. Good. Inhale, interlace your fingers out in front of you. Bring your feet together now. Flex your feet and come against the wall. Feel yourself so vertical, because in handstand, you're trying to get your ankles, your hips, your shoulder, and your ears lined up with your arms, and that's what we're going to do right now, upright. So interlacing your fingers, flip the palms forward. Take a breath. You're against a wall. Press your hips to the wall. Press your belly to the wall. Press your shoulders to the wall. And then extend the arms up. And see if you can keep that connection of your heels, your hips, the mid-back, the back of the skull even, and then the pinky side of the hands as you stretch your wrists a little bit, prepping for the handstand adventure. And then exhale, release. We'll do the other way. So interlace that exotic way, opposite pinky below. Lift your spine, stretch it up. Heels into the wall, hips to the wall, shoulders to the wall, head to the wall. And then pinkies. Excellent. Now, I'm going to come to the hands and knees, and this is the key action and setup to train yourself with. A couple key positions. You want your wrists and the center of your wrist lined up with your outer shoulder. So I'll show you this way. This would be too wide. See how the center of my wrist is wider than my outer shoulder? A lot of people go too narrow, so my wrists are actually more narrow than my outer shoulder, and that's key. So really study. Look to the right, look to the left, look in a mirror if you need to, or ask someone. Center of wrist, outer shoulder, and you'll start to get a sense and memorize that position. So that's action one, the placement of your foundation. Because like an architect, you really study and get that foundation great, and everything will go better when something's built on a stable, steady foundation. Then the other part of this foundational aspect is pressing through your finger pads more. So often when you go upside down, or even if you're in a down dog, it's called an inversion, people will tend to wait and put pressure on their wrist because it's so much work. And that actually taxes your carpals and wrists, and you leak power. So press through your finger pads more. Press as well, like you have little kitty claws, like a tiger or tigress, through the four corners of your pads, your claws here. So it's 10 finger pads press. Often the index finger edge of the hand lifts up, and then you want to reestablish that. So four corners of either palm, making a lot of intensity through the hands. You'll watch, and a lot of us, our forearms will tone when that happens, and that's a great sign. So once you've got that foundation, wrist, outer shoulder distance, 10 finger pads, clawing, never lifting, four corners of each palm, pushing down. You can think about palming a basketball, that'll help. Then that's the thing to practice and stay here. The next thing is the setup. So a lot of us set up in handstand and we take our knees way in and our back rounds. Well, we're trying to get our ears and shoulders and everything lined up well, and we need space. So walk your knees back behind your hips and feel how that gives you space in the side body. Then you're going to take a moment, bend your elbows a little bit, and melt your chest by squeezing your shoulder blades on your back. I'm going to show you that this way. So again, a lot of us come in to do our good hand placement, finger pads, and palm placement. But then we get into this like rounding, and can you see how my shoulder blades aren't sucked onto my back? That's the foundation. That's like the fulcrum of the pose. And so once you get that key action, you'll be so supported coming from a place of power, and then you'll be able to support and hold your handstand. So you bend your elbows, and then I'll show you from down dog, then you squeeze your shoulder blades on your back. One way you can do that helps me is I pull my hands together without moving them. I just pull. And that gets your scapula bones, they're called, your shoulder blades, on the back. Once you do that, and you can feel that, instead of rounding, you feel that hugging of the shoulder blades, then don't lose that, but press through the palms and make your arms straight. And you can see there's still that divot there, so I know my shoulder blades are supporting the posture. Then you start to curl your toes under, lift your hips, and once you feel that hugging in, feel also how your ears are alongside the upper arms. You can roll your triceps down a little bit more to activate your triceps, and that's the same feeling you're going to have in handstand. So your shoulders aren't up by your ears like this, right? You've hugged the shoulder blades on the back, and then you keep that, sourcing it from the heart, and you push. You literally stand on your hands. Shoulders aren't up, right? There's shoulder blades on the back. So once you find that action and you feel that clearance in the sides of the upper arms and ears as they align, there's space there, then you want to keep the gaze slightly forward and walk your feet in. So a lot of times you get that good setup, my finger pads, four corners of palms are pressing. Bend my elbows, shoulder blades are on my back. Feel the shoulder blades squeezing in, and I re-stretch my arms straight. Arms are alongside the ears. But then I walk in, and most people will look down because it's intense having your hips lift, and that's the natural tendency. So resist that. You don't want to crane the neck, but again, it's ears and upper arms aligned, and that's a key action. Gaze slightly forward, because that keeps, as you walk the feet in, the shoulder blades, when the gaze is slightly forward, it keeps the shoulder blades working. If we look down, what happens? Slumping. Just naturally look up, and this starts to open more, and that's what we're going for. So keep that in mind. Walk the hands, the feet rather, in and in. Ears and arms are aligned. And then you're going to lift one leg. As you lift one leg, you bend your other knee. So I always lift my left leg, so I'm going to bend my right knee. Now, the thing that usually happens here is this extended leg on most people, because it's so much, is casual. And so you make this leg taut. You got to bring your mind totally in the leg that you're lifting, which is hard to do. Point those toes down and squeeze your thighs in like a pair of scissors trying to close. And then as I start to bounce, I call these like bunny hops. I bounce, I literally push off the ball of that right foot, of the knee that's bent. I'm not going to bend my arms. I'm not going to bend these arms, which is another tendency. Stand on your hands, push. So stand on those hands, don't bend those arms, and maybe do a couple days, it could be a couple weeks even here, this drill of lifting one leg, making sure I'm reaching through the heel. My toenails on the extended leg foot pull towards my shin, which makes this leg taut, like a piece of spaghetti, right, that's not cooked. It's going to be much easier to maneuver than a noodly spaghetti piece. So reach through that heel, toenails to shin, playing with bouncing it. First, it's going to be like this, and that's okay. Do the other side. Again, opposite leg, toenails to shin. I'm reaching through the heel. All 5 toes should be pointing directly down, because when then I go to kick the leg up, right, my hips will go over my shoulders because of that foot position. So that's another key. So do those little bunny hops several times. Eventually, as you do those bunny hops, what happens is you'll start to float up. You'll do it against a wall here. Yeah? So again, we'll go over the key points. Wrists as wide as outer shoulders. Pressing through all 10 finger pads like a tiger is stalking the night. Palm the basketball, that feeling of pushing through the inner edges of the hands particularly. Feel the center of the palm lift. Then roll your triceps down and squeeze your shoulder blades on your back by bending your elbows a little bit. Pull your hands towards one another to feel that action. And then keep that action, re-stretch the arms straight, but keep hugging the shoulder blades in. And then you can do all that from your knees. Walk your knees back 2 to 3 inches. Curl your toes under, lift your hips. Push through your palms and make sure your ears and your upper arms are aligned. Walk in, walk in. Lift a leg. Whichever leg's lifted, reach through that heel. Bend the opposite leg of the foot that's on the floor. And then squeeze the thighs like a pair of scissors trying to close and bunny hop. You can add the action and the element of trying to get the knee bent leg. Once you get a little air time, for me it's right now my right foot, so I'm going to get the right foot heel to my sit bone. Like you try to kick your own tush with that leg that's beneath you, the lowest to the ground, and then I'll help you up. Once you get up, you find the wall and squeeze your legs together right away. Squeeze your legs together, scissoring them. Flow your hips back like we practice standing, tone the belly, and push out your hands. Most of us have the legs apart, which will make you fall out. You want to flex your feet, reach through those heels, just like we did when we were bunny hopping down, right? This action, so you squeeze your legs, knees should kiss, thighs should kiss, hips to the wall, belly to the wall, push, stand on your hands. In handstand, if you never bend your elbows, even if you wiggle and wobble, you'll be fine. That's what protects your head. So when you start to take the legs up, naturally, there can be some anxiety, the mind can freak out. Just think, stand on your hands. Never bend your elbows, and you'll be fine. And an easy way to get out of it is cartwheeling out. So I'll show you the other way with the opposite leg. It's really smart to train yourself and practice doing both legs, even the one that feels harder, because it'll just make you stronger. Once you get here, again, squeeze your legs, reach to your heels. Eventually, you'll do drills like you take one heel away from the wall, hips back, belly in, and then you hold here for 5 breaths. And then you take the other heel, hips back, belly in, stand on those hands and here. And that's what eventually allows you to go here and balance. But again, coming out of it, as I was starting to speak of, coming down with hips hugging in, thighs hugging in is optimal. However, if you end up having to go to the side, like you just get a little unstable for some reason, again, just don't bend your elbows and you can come out of it like a cartwheel. And just reach to one side or the other. Just stand on your hands and all will be well. So I hope that helped. After you do that practice, you might take a child's pose, which is lovely to do with your knees together. Take a moment, squeeze the thighs in to release the back, and then walk the knees 2 to 3 inches outside the hips. Bring your feet together. The insole of your feet will kiss. You don't want to overlap the feet, which is typical. And you walk the hands down and forward. Then you can bend your elbows. See if you can touch the back of your heart and relax everywhere. After all that, really strengthening against gravity, because that's what you're doing. You're going upside down, and that builds incredible strength. That's a lovely way to really give your body some recalibration time. And it also stretches your triceps, which you use a lot in the handstand, so you get a nice stretch there. So I hope that helps. Namaste.